I seen Fat Joe. Fat Joe had a clip that kind of literally just seemed like it was about to go viral in like 2 seconds before I started to record. And he was talking about Fetty WAP. And I totally agree with this take. It was kind of like, bro, Fetty WAP had so, I mean, of course, and I think most people, even before Fetty WAP eventually end up getting locked up, his last conversation, his last interview before he got locked up was with DJ Academics. And he was kind of explaining to people how he went bad with the money situation. But it was kind of crazy when you look at it, where it's like everybody always say, like, damn, Fetty WAP had a crazy run, and then it was kind of like he went to like, damn, why the hell is Fetty WAP out here selling drugs?
He put out 4 number ones in America, not the fake number ones. Not one, not just urban rhythmic pop. He put out 4. Why was he allegedly selling drugs? I just don't understand. With a guy with 4 number ones on a crackhead day, you can make 25,000. I used to tell Remy all the time. I said, yo, Remy, we can make 5,000 a show. I'm telling you, at the lowest budget, I said we can make 5,000 a show and do 4 or 5 a week, 25,000 a week. It's the best life in the world.
And you know what's so crazy? I get, and that's something for people who maybe don't know, even like for Plies, that was one of the things that kind of, and of course, not the street stuff with Plies, but it's just like the budgeting on your pricing, like how you price you can easily price yourself out of the music business. Because like when Plies was scorching high, I think Plies went up and got to like 80 to 100 bands. When most realistically, when Plies first got started and he was getting, just bubbling, and you, of course, that's when your manager knows street dudes and the street promoters trying to, clean their money up or something. So when you at that little 10, 15, even if you kind of teeter in the 20 racks, most street dudes, if they was promoting, they can kind of fundle the 20 bands. But at 10 and 15, that's the safe number for them. So then when you kind of go up and you get too crazy with the price, that's when you'll kind of sit here and think about, like, if we just think about what I'm saying real quick. Let me slow down a little bit. Think about Boosie and think about Plies. On paper, Plies got way more hit records than Boosie. But Boosie still do shows. Plies be on his fucking phone in the car talking. But realistically, Boosie always, because Boosie realistically is a real street dude, he always kept his price respectable so Boosie can consistently stay booked up and stay busy his whole entire career. I don't even know the last hot Boosie song that Boosie has had, but Boosie has still been consistently. Think about all the rappers who have went to jail, came out, went home, whatever the case may be, from Gucci Man, Bobby Shmurda, Gunna, Young Thug. Think about all of them. Boosie probably nowhere near hot as none of them. Realistically, it depends on who you ask, probably never even had songs big as any of them. But Boosie, if you go to his page or if you follow any people who live in the South, Boosie literally stays booked up from Thursday to Sunday, damn near every week of the whole entire year. So for him to consistently stay booked is you keep your price at a decent pace. So even for what Fat Joe was just saying, for Fetty WAP to have such a crazy catalog, that little 4-hit run, not little, huge 4-hit run, you should never had to go to the point where you had to go sell drugs. But 9 times out of 10, Fetty WAP probably started charting. And that's one of the worst things that happen to a lot of these rappers when it comes to festivals. And I feel like Fetty WAP kind of already, like, pretty much, no disrespect, but kind of was already washed up by the time festivals became a thing. But you will even see for a lot of these newer acts, you get a taste of that festival money, you don't want to go back to doing the chitlin circuit. You don't want to go back to working smaller clubs or kind of big clubs and really putting in the groundwork. But what Fat Joe was sitting here saying is, like, on a bad day, like if my career gets super low, I can go all the way down to 5,000. Charging 5,000 a show and still do 4 shows a week, like you just said, that's 25 bands. So for that to be sitting here and for that to be said, it's like, why somebody didn't tell Fetty WAP to come down on the number and just grind it out. But again, I think it just shows that a lot of rappers be wanting the easy money and don't really want to put in the work. Because it's like, even for Fetty WAP right now, I don't necessarily know if he's gonna get back. I see people posting the pictures and he did the little big dude. And he do that. Shout out to Ice Spice. I'm not gonna lie. She low-key got her a little sneaky hit. It's not something that people not gonna come out, like most men ain't gonna come out and sit here and say how fire that song is. Like, it's super catchy and stupid, but it's that song off the SpongeBob Jones. Big guy. Big dude. But anyway, again, I think realistically for somebody like Fetty WAP, because he didn't have no real story attached to his music, I think it's a lot harder to become relevant again as a rapper if you don't have a story attached to your music. Because let's think about for somebody like Bobby Shmurda. Bobby Shmurda, think about how big Hot Nigga was. Even for computers and Bobby, and like, he never, because none of those songs had an attachment to the person. It was just a hot song No, people didn't have a real connection to you. And we can get into that in a second with the NBA YoungBoy and how some kids feel. And I was so surprised to see how many kids was upset with the NBA YoungBoy interview, but we'll get into that in a second. But they don't have no real attachment. Like nobody, what's your attachment to Fetty Wap? Yeah, I like those songs. Those songs were super catchy. But Fetty Wap don't have songs like somebody like a Rod Wave. Like if I'm super sad or I'm depressed and I'm trying to just get over life or heartbreak, what's the Fetty Wap song you gonna cut on? And those are the artists who eventually can, like, you can, like Fetty, like Rod Wave could take a break for 5 years, come back, and people, his fans will still be waiting for new Rod Wave music. Same way with Boosie. Boosie, like people who are real Boosie fans, he don't have to have songs as big as Plies. His songs is more relatable than Plies. So when Boosie, then that's enough of a reason why you can probably go to a Boosie show or a Jeezy show and you'll see niggas in their 50s at a Jeezy or at a Boosie show because those niggas was really going through something in real life at those times when some of those songs was at their peak and these rappers was at the peak of their career. And to be able to consistently lock in with them, build a real core for audience, I don't think Fetty Wap has a core audience. And I don't necessarily know if Fetty Wap, like, I don't think Fetty Wap can make another run like that. I could be wrong, and I'm cool, and I hope I am wrong, but I just don't see it coming because I just don't feel no real connection to Fetty Wap's music. He had hit records, but there's no real connection to those hit records besides, hey, they just hit records. I mean, you can say that, like, I can even go down south, someone like Travis Porter. Think about how big Travis Porter, make it rain, make it rain, I'ma make it rain. Like, for Travis Porter had endless big hits. No connection, though. After that song gets dated, you don't have no reason to cut them back on. If I told you right now, when Travis Porter was at the peak of their career, I told you that nobody wouldn't think twice about them 10 years from now. When the last time you cut on a Travis Porter song? Roscoe Dash. All the way. Matter of fact, they was on the song together. All the way turned up. When the last time you cut on Roscoe Dash? Roscoe Dash is on No Hands. Even think about for Walker. Like Walker kind of just, he may be a little bit different because he was like, people kind of like, just like Walker. But think about Roscoe Dash. How, matter of fact, perfect example. 3 people on that song on No Hands. It's Wale, it's Walker Flocka, and it's Roscoe Dash. The most relevant person musically is the person who music is most relatable out of those 3. Big as that song, I think that song went like 10 times platinum, so it's a diamond hit record. The most relevant person probably at that, or there wasn't, like, think about, even when that song came out, Wale just got, I want to say he just got dropped from Interscope. Waka Flocka was scorching hot. Roscoe Dash was on fire. Wale realistically had no business being on that song. But today, however many years later, it probably at least got to be 10 years later, maybe even longer than that. Wale is more relevant than the 2 bigger artists with realistically at that time way bigger motion, way bigger songs. Why? Because Wale's music is way more relatable. Wale now and later into, I don't even know if Wale 40 yet, but in his late 30s, his music is his most relatable because he's talking about stuff that other people his age group can actually relate to now. Think about, because that was one of the biggest disconnects for somebody like Wale early in his career. You couldn't realistically, like, people for his age, he was rapping more about like sneakers and clothes, and people just couldn't really relate to it. Like people may like it, some people could relate to it, but they couldn't relate to it as much as his last project. I can argue that Wale's last project, Everything Is a Lot, is his most relatable project to people his age group because he's talking about he's talking about co-parenting, talking about being a dad, talking about why he's not married and he should be married. Every time he see his mom, she kind of pressing him like, hey, when you gonna get married? These things are stuff that people in their late 30s, early 40s can relate to. And those are the people who are helping. And that's why if you see the conversation, like, yeah, number wise, you may not see, oh, Wale didn't sell 100 or 200,000 in the first week, but how long that conversation stayed around that album. And you'll even still hear people sit here and say, man, we got to keep talking about that Wale album because you don't want good music like that to just come and go. Talking about relatability. I don't think Fetty Wap has no relatability to his music. And that's why he'll come home, he'll put out songs, he'll do cool little things that go viral, he'll go back and forth with his baby moms, but nobody is realistically checking for a new Fetty Wap song. And that's just me being honest. Real quick, while we still kind of on music, I do want to